interpretive dance weird, you know what I'm saying? Nice jewel, dude. Nice jewel. Okay, let me explain this really quick for everybody. I'm actually gonna explain this. If you're a new player, listen up, dude. Alright, listen up. Alright, I'm gonna explain this one time for all the noobs about how you're supposed to do this, but you don't have to. Okay, this is like really autistic if you want to do it this way every league. Okay. Alright, watch this. So, when you are starting out, right, you only have these, right? You start here. Okay, I'm not gonna make a YouTube video out of this because it's gonna be kind of scuffed, okay? So when you're a noob, okay, you can only start here. You see how you're maxed here? You can, if you don't know, you can search for maps like this, right? Alright, tier 2, 3, 4, 5, and then so you can only go up to tier 5, okay? And to explain the rules, if you do a tier 5 map like this with no stones, you can't drop a 6 or a 7 even from the boss, okay? You have to have a map on the atlas like shown to drop. So if you're doing laboratory, yo, Slumcat Million, thanks for 5 million years. If you are doing a laboratory tier 5 and you're wondering why you can't push up your atlas and you have no stones, you can't drop a tier 6, right? Because you can check, look, no tier 6, no tier 7, which could drop from the boss. So you're screwed, right? That's just one quick thing to mention. Okay, when you start your atlas, bronze spawns in the corners, okay? Bronze always gonna be the first guy. You can only get conquer spawns once you find bronze in the corners. Then you do your first 4 in the corners, okay? You do your first 4 in the corners, and the reason you do that, right, is because you have to. So you have 4 stones, okay? So some of you guys will have like 4 of these, but you do not, under any circumstances, okay, put in 4 watchstones. You don't do that because let's say you put one in, I don't know, it doesn't matter, like here, like maybe focus the middle first just because it's like more simple. But look, you put in 1, okay, and that is because when you're new and you have no watchstones, you can get up to tier 5, right? You have all the maps between 1 and 5, but the moment you do a tier 5, you want to make sure that you can drop a 6 and 7. So general rule, always make sure with the search bar here that you can drop a +1 and a +2, okay, like 100%. You need that. Oh my god, turn on your speakers. Someone redeem the FBI one. Here we go, dude. Okay, there we go. So when you get your 4 stones, right? Let's just, as an example, put all of them in because you've done your corners, right? And you put them in. Look at this. Oh no! Now the minimum tier is 14. Look, right? Look, 14. Oh no! You can't drop a 14 by doing a tier 5, right? You only have up to tier 5 right now, so it wouldn't make sense. And it starts at minimum 14 in any zone with 4 stones. Okay, so you don't want to do this. Okay, this is like kind of scuffed. And also, the reason you don't want to put 1 in random places. Let's say you do this. Okay, now you could do this. This is like kind of like a fun way to play where you get like random maps, but let's say that you do this, for example, right? And then so you want like let's say you want like tier like 1, right? Oh no, you have no tier 1 drops anymore. Maybe you want that for some reason, or like tier 2, 3, 4, right? You only have like these right now, right? Like you cut out a few, but that doesn't really matter too much. Now, the reason you really don't want to put 1 in these zones is because let's take a look at tier 6, okay? Because you have to spawn the conquers depending on how many stones it says. So when you mouse over here, it's gonna say number of stones to spawn, like 1 when you start, right? So mine says 4 because I have all my stuff. But yours will say, with 4 stones acquired from the corners, yours will now say requires 1 stone to spawn. And if you put 1 stone everywhere, you're gonna split your map drops from doing your like 5s or whatever, or 6s or whatever, across 4 regions. So what happens when you spawn one, right? Your first 20 stones will be 3 blocks. So you drop 1 here, and now you need 2 more. Like, oh no, you can't get that one, right? Because like the next time you drop a map, it's like more of a chance to be like in these 3, right? So what you want to do, here's how you're supposed to do it. Okay, when you get your first 4 stones, you don't socket any of them. You socket only 1 of them in one of these 4 quadrants, okay? And if you want to go even like more potato, you see this? Look at this. In the corners to get your first, you said there's like 1, 2, 3. And then this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see how like scuffed this is to go these two first? 1, 2, 3, 4. So really, you probably want to do these two first. You want to tierns because look, 1, 2, 3. You can get to the corners faster. Okay, that's just a little. You can't see, but that's a tiny thing that you can start with these two. Okay, but that's like who cares? Okay, so you're gonna socket 1 stone when you start in any of these areas that you enjoy, and the reason for that is look. Now, what happens when I want a tier 6? It's only in this region. And since you know your next stones is only 1 stone, every time you do a tier 5 or a tier 4, if you kill the boss and get a tier 6, it will 100% be in this region. And you can spawn every single conquer in this region because you can only drop maps in that region that spawn it, right? And then after you do that, as you're like building up this pool and completing all 4 conquers, you'll have a lot of maps here. But what if you want more? Because now after you get these 4, right? Let's say you start with 4 stones, you do this region and you get these 4. The next region will ask you for 2 stones. All right. Any other region will say requires 2 stones to spawn the guy. So what do? Then you take your stones that you got before and you put them in this zone or this zone, right? And now look, when you do your pool of yellows here, you can now drop this zone. And you're only dropping this zone. So when you're done with the 4 conquers in the green zone, right? Just an example, when you go to the white zone here, cairns, you'll have a shit ton of maps that are only in this zone. And then you can spam all 4 conquers with 2 stones, right? Do all 4 of them before you move on. And then as you're doing this zone, the next time it'll ask you for 3 stones. But you already have a bunch of stones, right? Because you gotten 4 from here and you have the 4 from the corner. So you have 8 already. So now, right, you're done with this green, you're done with Valdo's rest, you take it out. You do not want to leave the stones in, trust me on this. So now imagine you did all 4 with Valdo, so you have 8 stones. Then you're gonna want 2 stones here, and then you're gonna want 3 stones in another zone. And the reason for that is the same reason, right? While you're spawning all 4 conks right here, you're building up your pool for right here, for Tiern's End. And then when you're done with that, you do that. And then now here's the important part, right? Here's the important part. After you're done with this, okay, after you have 20 stones, you have to have 4 stones in a region. So after this 3 stone region, you're pretty much gonna just jump 4 stones. You're gonna leapfrog 4 stones into another area. So for example, after you spawn 4 conquers in the 3 stone zone, now pretty much every other area will require like 4 or something, right? So now you leapfrog like this. So then you have 3, and then you do the 4 here, and then when you're building your pool here, you put 4 in an outer zone. And then so now while you're doing 4 conquers in the 4 stone zone, you build out the T14 pluses in the other zone that you need. And so you leapfrog from one zone to the other, doing every conquer stone, and your maps are very narrow, right? This is very important not to put stones in other zones that are like really shitty. Now there is one thing that you could do, right? Like let's say you have you're leapfrogging from Proxima to Ejoras, right? Let's say you're on your last one here and you have a pool here ready to go to do 4 conquers here. Let's say you want some lower maps because you just enjoy them, right? Then you can make sure it doesn't cut in. So like your other stones, like let's say I do you wanna search here for 14. So you want to make sure that the only 14s are in the 2 leapfrog zones. You do not want any in here, okay? Or 15 or 16, but 14 makes sense. So look, you can put in stones in any other region to get yellow or some like 11 through 13 maps without worrying about messing up your leapfrog. See that? Like you see how like I have reds here now that I can drop, but they won't affect my leapfrogging. You see that? So it's safe to put something until I highlight. But watch this. If I put this in, right? Look at this. You do not want this to happen, okay? Because if, let's say like, okay, a better example is like in here, because you did this one first, let's pretend. Okay. In Valdo's. Right? Because watch what's going to happen here, right? If you've completed all your stones in Valdo's, you don't want any tier 14 pluses dropping in here because it's going to scuff it's going to dilute your pool and you won't be able to spawn these stones as fast, right? So make sure when you're in your 4 stone leapfrogging, you don't have any stones that would give you a 14 plus in any other zone that's already finished. Does that make sense? Okay, that's the Atlas rules. That's how you do it. You leapfrog from one zone to the other, and then you just keep bouncing around. But you don't have to play this way. Okay, this way is like for racers and like speedy Atlas people, right? You can just like take your time and just go around and you know, it'll take a lot longer because your first 20 stones will always be 3 maps, but your next 12 stones could be 9 maps, right? And there's a lot of times when you don't have 9 maps. Like even right now, I don't even have 9 maps sometimes for certain zones because of my favoriting. So like it's really like scuffed, right? If you are progressing your Alice and you don't have the maps for it, then you're like, oh shit, what do I do? Right? You gotta like farm even harder instead of doing them all at once. That is why. That makes sense? Yo, that makes sense? Okay, that probably didn't make any sense. It's like